I think it's one of those things where whether you're against it or not, too bad it's happening. The cat's out of the bag. Like Pandora is here.
And I think there's this new resurgence of going to the countryside and trying to live a life a little more in tune with what we've been doing for millennia.
Like the way that I search and my missus search is completely different. I go to a restaurant, the first thing I look at is the Google My Business reviews. The first thing she looks at is the Instagram account to see how good the dishes look.
After you so kindly hosted me at your community, and there's a lot of things about SEO and automations that I'm very much looking forward to discuss with you.
That was a lot of fun. Everyone's still loving that, by the way. Sorry to cut, but yeah, everyone just raved about them. We're going to have you back in there.
I'll be very happy to do that, yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Nico, he runs an AI ranking community, has a lot of free content online about AI automations for SEO. So you can learn a lot of how to do cool stuff faster for less money. So he's the right person to learn that from. And Nico, do you mind sharing a bit of context with the viewership? Who are you and how did you end up doing a podcast with this dude here?
Sure. Thanks for the intro. Like I said, my name's Nico, half Australian, half Chilean, hence we might do a little Spanglish in this session. And essentially, I got into marketing working for a really large hospitality company in Australia that had like 70 different bars and restaurants around Australia as like social media or community manager kind of thing, and then kind of worked my way up to marketing manager. And I needed to learn a little bit more, so I went into agency world, where that's where I really learned to like kind of sharpen my teeth, let's say, in digital marketing. And then there was an SEO specialist in there. At that time, SEO for me seemed like black magic. Like nobody really knew how to do it except this guy. And I worked there for a couple of years, and then I went back in-house. And where this kind of crazy journey started with AI, I was working for Australia's first cryptocurrency investment firm, the one that's been like actually approved by the government. And I was the marketing manager there until the crypto market crashed twice in a month. And then I was quickly made redundant, but it came at a time where GPT-3 was just released. And I just got obsessed with it and then started my agency at the same time. And then it just kind of, in whatever I did, I tried to see how I could make it better or make it faster with AI. And then I've never looked back since, and I'm become obsessed with how to use AI correctly and effectively. And a lot of people seem to think that they like to learn from me. And yeah, TikTok is where it kind of started. And then we went to YouTube, and then the rest is kind of history. People started asking me for me to teach them, and hence why we started the community. And yeah.
Super cool. It's interesting that what you would think, at least I'm sure at the moment that you experience it, was an unfortunate, undesirable situation. Like, shit, just lost the job, Of course, by your own agency, by your own act on the predicament, to transform your professional life in that way.
Yeah, not that I'm much of a believer in, the universe and whatever, but I always had a mind of I wanted to start my agency, but I kept getting good job offers, so I kept putting it off. And I think that was, let's call it the universe kind of giving me a right kick in the ass, going, nah, you're doing this, now or never. And I am honestly grateful for it. I think it was Sam Friedman, his name was. I can't remember, the guy who was part of the one of the crashes because he was found to be an absolute fraud, caused it. So I used to hate him, and now I kind of love it because he forced me to do this kind of journey.
Well, there's a Chinese saying, you might know it, the farmer and his son. You know that one, the farmer and the son of the horse?
Yeah, that you don't know. Right, he breaks his horse, but then the army comes and then he doesn't go to the army. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every time a new event happens, they say, oh, you must be so happy, or you must be so sad. And the guy's like, maybe. And then the next one comes, like, it's a constant turn of events, right? It's a bit like life is like that, right? Sometimes we get put through these trials of fire by life, and like, oh, this is absolute garbage, and you come out to the other side like, this is why I had to do it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
It still sucks when you have to go through it though. So interesting that you lean so heavy on AI. I had a lot of people in the podcast that have different opinions and different sentiments towards AI. So people are very bullish, people are a bit more fearful of it. Some people have a sort of neutral position where they like what you can do with AI, but then in the macro, they're not too sure about how that's going to shape us. So that's definitely an area that I'd like to talk more with you, because you've obviously built a great career, a great community around AI and using it for SEO, which is what you already, so you merge different things, right? What was timely with what you knew, and you evolved that way. I'm curious to know what your views on it on the macro are like, perhaps for us to have a bit more background right before we get there, I'd like to know a few things, right, around what's been your experience in this field and where you see it going, right, and why you lean so heavy on AI.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where whether you're against it or not, too bad it's happening. Like the cat's out of the bag. Like Pandora's here. So you can either put
Right.
your head under the sand and go, it's going to, be the end of the world and this is the beginning of the end. And it might be, right? There's a great book by Google's ex AI engineer that I read called Scary Smart. And he talks about
Scary smart.
how, yeah, it's fantastic read. And he talks about how AI, at the moment, it's in its infancy stages. And the way we need to think about it is that eventually, let's say 50, 100 years from now, we might be all somewhere in the middle of the forest camping. And that's like the scene that he sets up. And the reason why we're there might be because we fall into this apocalyptic future and we're running away from like AIs, right? Or AIs liberated us from needing to do a lot of work so we can enjoy ourselves in nature. And the way that this is very condensed version of the book, right? And the way that we get there is really by treating AI, we're raising a child essentially. And if you raise a child by telling it that he's stupid and treating it bad and not giving it the right information and love, like literal love, hey, you've done really good here, then it's going to result in this thing that might not see us as nice parents, let's say. That's what he says anyway. And if you do the opposite, if you try to train it correctly, say, hey, here are our ethics, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, it's trained with that right kind of data set. So I guess I'm always the one, I know it sounds stupid, but I always say please and thank you to AI and stuff like that, just because it's the first time something's going to be smarter than us. And I see it already with the new models. Like these things are way smarter than me. So how it's no doubt it's going to have negative impacts in society. I've got no doubt it will. What they are, I don't know. A lot of people are going to just lose jobs. I'm a cause of people losing jobs because I automate jobs that, so I've seen it and I've been a part of it. So, but there's also this beautiful other side of it that allows business owners to compete against the big guys. It allows me to hire people from all over the world that don't speak English because we communicate throughout ChatGPT, and it translates things correctly. It allows for incredible, precise and unique education for kids. Like people learn at different rates and in different ways. And imagine having like your own personal tutor that understands exactly how you learn to teach you the topic. Like the other day I was driving and I was speaking to GPT, the voice mode, and I didn't understand quantum chips too much. Google just released a massive quantum chip. I don't know if you saw it, but it's a massive step in computing and it's going to change a lot. I didn't understand it. And in the car ride for 15 minutes, I just got GPT to, explain this to me like I was a 5-year-old. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you if I understand it and then correct me, and correct me a few times. And after 15 minutes, I understood this concept a little bit better. I'm not an expert, obviously. And for that, it's just wonderful. So there's going to be bad things, 100%. But if you're fearful of it and you don't want to understand how it works, then you're not going to be able to protect yourself from it. So you can protect yourself and your kids now by learning from it, showing them this is a fake image, by the way. Let's see if we can spot the difference, for example. Long-winded answer, but
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's interesting that you wrapped it with that idea there. I think it's the same way as being able to tell whether an email is legit or is a scam, whether
right.
did it really come from Microsoft or is that a Cyrillic character there on the domain? That kind of skill in the wild west of the internet, that's just going to get a lot wilder because of AI. Like be able to tell genuine content from altered content. It's interesting. I think I was just at the Chama SEO conference a couple of weeks ago, and one of the guys I was chatting with talked about some of these AI tools now embedding a type of watermark into their output so that you can tell exactly what tool it came from. And I'm not sure if it was Gemini, the one that was doing that. And it's funny because it's the same way. I think it was lyrics.com, or I forgot the name of the website. I used to have all the content scraped from Google and put on the rich snippets when you look for all I want for Christmas is you lyrics, and you will get the full answer on the SERPs. It says that's our content, and we'll say no. I say it is because we put dots in certain places, and that's the watermark exactly as our website. So it's similar like that, but at a much higher level with AI content output. So I think there's going to be this entire new layer of complications where we get to save a lot of time advance very quickly because of automations and the AI being very capable of doing a lot of different things, to be honest, right? And just comb through data and do outputs that it would be so hard to do in-house. It would require so much specialty knowledge to be able to do. And then now the specialty knowledge is like whether or not this is good or not. The result that the AI is producing, is this legit? Or is this AI, or is this real content? So that becomes like the new meta skill to know. Where in a way, you go back to the idea of being on a camping site, hanging out with your friends, and we getting farther apart from those kind of skills that work for that kind of world into this abstraction of like, is this image AI or is this?
Yeah. And you can even start seeing it already, like, we are building constantly a negative keyword list in terms of like, so you can feed it to any AI model and just go, don't use these words, like in the ever evolving world of, and in the wonderful world, like you just right away AI. And obviously, you get, or when you get a message going, dear sir or dear madam, it's the cat classic thing on the email, right? Like, it's just.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. So you said that after you moved, kind of forced into what's turned out to be a great venture for you, and you started now running a community and posting a lot of content online. So you've done a lot of things that are right for the age of the times, working with AI, pushing online, and in social media. And it's become a community and super engaged community. You gave me access a little while back and been lurking. I presented there briefly, and the members, that were so warm, the reception, and so smart, and so I think you've built a great place online. So
Thanks.
I have a couple of questions around the idea of community, and this came up in a conversation with Dan and Nicole, who was on the podcast a while back. Is the idea of the third place. So the idea of the third place is that we used to have our living place, our workplace, and then a third place where we would go and socialize. And that's kind of been eroded because we all work from home. So there's not even a second place for some people. And so these online communities are kind of like your second place now, your online second place, which you don't have offices, right? And sure, you might do like virtual hangouts with your actual coworkers. But then to have this place where you mingle with people that have the same, it's like your business social club in a way. And I 100%. Think there is a lot of value in that because it transcends, it goes beyond the, okay, what am I going to get for $49 a month? What I'm going to learn. It's like, but who are you going to hang out with? What kind of people are going to be answering your questions? And like, how engaging are those Q&As? Like, there was people attending that very early phone call in Thanksgiving, and they were super engaged. Some of them might not have a good plan on Thanksgiving, and they're like, well, great, I can go to the Q&A with Nico and Alex. That'd be great.
Yeah, you get these, like, today, some sessions are more filled than others, but even today, like, we get one guy always coming there now, Bob, and he wakes up at 7 a.m. and to go, or he wakes up earlier, but he's always there at 7 a.m. That's when the time falls for him. And I was like, do you not get bored of like seeing my ugly mutt every morning? And he goes, no, it's great. I like get to sit down, have a coffee, and I have a coffee with you guys, and I'll learn about AI and stuff like that. And that is the thing that I can't put into the sales page of sure, we've got the support and we have everything on the automations and stuff like that, but it's the collaboration, or learning online can be a really lonely place, or investigating a new technology, let's say not learning, but just going into this can be a really lonely place. I've been there when I started trying my business and stuff like that. And we get people where they are smart and all they just need is a place where they can go and ask a few people like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you reckon? And we go, that's a great idea. Or actually, this is why I think it's bad. So yeah, I think the community aspect of it is the thing there. Because when it comes to like content that I've got to offer you, there isn't a magical formula that I'm hiding that I've got. Like, I don't have the $1 million answer there, not at all. Like, and I tell that people we've got like free onboarding calls if they want it. So I tell them like, you're going to find the information that I have here if you look well enough on Google. But the thing I've got here is this community where you're not going to get bothered. It's not me just adding the value; it's the other people there, and it's wonderful. It's definitely my second place or third place, like you were saying. Like, people here ask me because we live kind of up in a hill, and sometimes people don't realize that I've moved back home here in Chile. Like, I don't see you, and I'm like, oh, I'm working all the time. And they go, is it lonely? And I said, no. Like, I am always connected, and sure, it's not as it's not face to face, but I've seen people's businesses grow with the group, and people started to start their own business because they learned the right tools, and you see this development, and it's so cool, man. Like I wake up happy to do it every day because it's just so cool. It's a cool community, which takes a lot of, you need to tend to the garden as well. But anyway.
So that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. What would be one of the challenges of running a community that people that don't run one might not be aware of? Everybody says start a school community, but what's the drawbacks of it?
I think you need to lead by example. So, school is wonderful, and the owner does it really well, and Alex Hormozi as well. Like we get a lot of you can be part of school communities that are about school, which is Schoolception, and there's not engagement in my community, or all they get is spammers and stuff like that. And one is like, you need to walk the walk, help people do the thing that isn't scalable. We go on calls as much as we can. We help people. I go on this. So you need to be really active and lead by example. Don't get frustrated and think people don't know how to use the platform or understand the workflow. If someone doesn't understand it, it's on you. Like, you haven't done the due diligence in simplifying this thing. And instead of going like, he's just a boomer who can't even open Facebook. Sure, you can take that attitude, but it's not going to serve you any good at all. That's like one thing that, and then, so we've got a free community and a paid one. And with the free one, that's sometimes more work. We need to constantly get people out. But then you build this thing, like once a month, I need to post a video on showing examples, like, here's a spammer. This is what the comments he sent. If you try this, you will be kicked out. And people appreciate that and then trust you more to maybe go in the paid one. So it's work. Like, it's not just, I'm going to make 10 grand a month easy. No, it's work, and it's people, you're showing your personal brand on times 10, because if it's your community and the vibe's off, then I don't know, it's a lot of taking care, but you also are very much rewarded by it, thankfully financially, but also from a gratefulness perspective as well, which is something that I didn't get so much when I was running an agency.
Interesting. Do you still do any kind of agency work?
We held on to a couple of clients because we were telling them, hey, we're kind of closing off because we're really focusing on this education direction. And a few of them just said, whatever you want, just give us another 6 months. And I was like, okay, sure. It'll have to be a reduced thing because, this is my thing. So we've got a couple, and it's also great to be honest, have that another Google Search Console data. And, they're happy for me showing it to people to go look, this is the strategy that we've done, and this is the result. So, that's also really good as well. So keeping a few clients is always really good for that sense.
That's a good point. You get to stay sharp as well beyond your own sites.
Yeah.
There's a different approach always. With your own sites, you're always going to be a lot more, I mean, at least me, I didn't want to project that actually. But yeah, with your own sites, you're always a lot more risk inclined because it's your own thing.
100% for sure. Yeah.
Right? With clients, we need to do this very clean, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody else's job on the line.
Yeah. No, I'm very risky with one site. We're starting up another one just for AI ranking, and that will go full blast and just try all these different things. And that's what we did with Savity, the agency website. I just tried a bunch of different things, and if something worked really well, I was like, cool, that's a good strategy. And yeah, it's good to have those risky that if something happens, you're like, well, whatever.
You get to learn something.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you moved back to Chile. You were living in Australia, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How's it been for you to go back to Chile, change your everything?
Good. I think for a little context, I've got a little family here, and I moved away when I was 12 because I didn't speak English, and my mum, who's Australian, really didn't like that. And I was a little stubborn. So I've been away for a little while. Australia was I was quite disappointed with Australia. It was extremely expensive to live in. It was getting more and more expensive. It's got this, not to get political, but it's got this duopoly of a lot of industries are kind of just overtaken by one or two companies, and it makes it very expensive. The cost of living is huge. So to start a business or to buy your first house is really difficult. And there's a couple of things happening here in Chile that I wanted to be closer to family, so we just came here, and it was the best decision ever. I think I was so in the city, which I love Melbourne, fantastic food and everything, but with my now fiance, we're ready for a break, and it's been fantastic. It's been really good, and even more good for my job. Now a lot of the people in the community are from the United States and from parts of Europe, and it aligns with that time so much better. In Australia I'd have to get up sometimes at 4 for meetings, and it's not conducive for a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, it sure isn't.
Yeah,
I've been taking client calls at 4 or 5 a.m. for 3 years, and it's painful.
It is.
It is painful.
Yeah. So that was a welcome
by the way,
change.
congratulations on the engagement.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. It's very cool. She helps me a lot. She's crazy enough to accept these things of like, I think we're going to close the agency and do the school stuff. And she goes, all right, I want a business plan before we do this. So I do the due diligence, but she trusts me with these crazy things, and she's like the glue that holds everything together. I just kind of go forward, and she can tidy everything up behind me. It's fantastic. It's good. Very lucky with that.
Sounds like you found the right one.
Yeah, for sure.
God bless. Oh, Nico, I see that you're having a mate while I have my little arancata juice, because I'm
very good.
Boringly sober for years now. How big is, because I know in Argentina and Uruguay, mate is big. Is it also very big there in Chile?
It's bigger in the south where I'm from, because a long time ago, the south was very disconnected from the rest of Chile. There wasn't like one highway that you could go down. So this part of Chile had to get all of its groceries and things from Argentina. So a lot of we borrow a lot of their cultures. Like here, the classic gaucho, the horseman, is an Argentinian thing. In Chile, the classic horseman is called a huaso, but you don't get that down south. It's all much more of an Argentinian influence culture down south.
Interesting. What would you say? And I'm asking this also for context. Some people are regulars to the show of all my 300 subscribers. Some of them might be regular.
Yeah.
I've lived in a ton of different countries, right? And every time you change countries, it changes you, but also you discover a bunch of great things, a bunch of things that okay, I wasn't counting with that. And so, but I've never either been or nor lived in either of the two countries where you're from. So I'm very curious to know how, if at all, is it influencing now the way that you see life, or your aims, your vision for what life should look like now that you're in Chile? Is it changing from the way that you used to conceive life in Australia? Are you looking at things differently? Are you doing anything differently now?
Yeah, a lot less materialistic, for sure. I'm also Santiago is very metropolitan, but I'm down south, and I think being in a hustle bustle city, you just get sucked into materialist. And I don't consider myself very materialistic, but you still fall into that a little bit just being around a city. And I don't mean maybe like the cars and the Gucci or whatever. I never was part of that. But even like I want to go to the nice restaurant or the nice bar or whatever. And it's very things that don't really matter. And now here it's just like, all right, what do I want to do? Well, we bought a little plot of land. It's like, great, let's build a house. And that's my enjoyment. So that's definitely changed that aspect of it. I am partying a lot less. I can drink a lot less these days, 2 drinks and that's it. And from, I'm constantly connected on working days, like 13 hours online. So the weekends is just no connection. And that's a lot easier for me to do as well. Like, let's go hiking, let's go to the farm and stuff like that. So I think prioritizing that, and it might've been just in conjunction with the age that I'm at, like, I want to have a family soon and stuff like that. So this is like a great thing. 33. But yeah, definitely less worried about materialistic stuff for sure. And remembering that I can actually do things with my hands and fix things. Because here, particularly where I am in Aysén, in Coyhaique, if something breaks, there's no guy to call for the most part, and all my stuff is online. So I'm not like the best handyman, and I'll admit it, and that's fine. But I've had to become one here because, like, okay, I need to know how to fix a broken pipe, or I need to, figure something out, or the lights went out, how, where, and there's, in Australia, that stuff's sorted for you. And here it's like, if you don't fix it, it just doesn't get fixed. So that's really interesting as well.
Yeah, I was just reading an article, I think yesterday morning. I think the headline was something like, everyone is asking where is the village, yet nobody wants to be a villager.
Yeah.
I've probably not quoting verbatim, right? Just paraphrasing. And it's interesting when you live in cities or basically where you kick a rock and 50 people pop up, where also because I guess increasingly more, most of us work online in a degree or another, even if you go to an office, right? But most of your work is all done remotely. It's all in front of a computer. Unless you work in trades, then okay, or in retail, then yeah, you will be dealing with people all day physically, which in a way I do miss from my years of doing jobs that I don't miss. I don't miss the jobs themselves. Right. And then you encounter a thing like my washing machine broke, or it doesn't work. I don't know if it's broken, but it doesn't work. Or I need to, like for instance, today I need to transport all my plants out to do some renovation. What am I going to do with my 50 plants? The first thing I thought is like, I'll hire a service, some plant nursery service where I can dump them for a while. And I thought, but I couldn't find a service. And that's because I live in a city. If I lived in a village, like I would know that that's not a possibility. So like, I will have to ask a friend to either come here, you need to rely on other people. And it's interesting that we build online communities, and a lot of people that build online communities then move to the countryside. I think there's this new resurgence of going to the countryside and trying to live a life a little more in tune with what we've been doing for millennia. But at the same time, we live like the most like cutting edge, advanced out there jobs. And we try to then go back as far as possible with our regular day-to-day lives to keep a sense of sanity.
There is like, I think a sense of, there's such a similarity with that I'm finding. Like when you move into these small towns, my experience has been that you have to rely on the people around you. You have to. Like my missus, she had to learn Spanish, and learning Chilean Spanish is also another thing altogether. It's the worst Spanish out there, and I'll admit that. So she not only learns,
speak difficult.
Oh yeah. And it's not even a dialect. It's like the Welsh of Spanish. And you have to rely on other people. You can't be self-sufficient in that instance to be able to survive here. And that same thing, I think, with the community that we're growing in, communities altogether, that sometimes you have to rely on other people. Not rely, but it makes life a lot easier. And there's those two similarities for sure. Very completely different worlds apart in terms of one's AI cutting edge and the other one's living the Patagonia. But if you allow yourself to rely on other people, then things will be a little bit easier for sure.
Yeah, I think it's something that's kind of been lost with. We default so much to like, I'll pay somebody to do it. That's why I read an article as well, I think late last year, that said in the UK, at least 40 to up to 50% of the population don't have a single person they can call a friend. Not a single one. Not a single person you can call like, hey, you want to go for a drink, or you want to hang out, or and so it's that stark contrast between dimensions of life that I think we're gonna see a bit more of in the upcoming years. So
I agree.
Relatively related to this, what is something about your current lifestyle that you enjoy the most that you didn't expect?
I enjoy so much that I do it for, like, we host sessions for people here. I think, let me give you some context. I think part of the reason of who I am has to be of where I'm from. And I was born in this little crazy town where I moved back in here. And I always wanted to give back in a way I just never in the past had the skills to, because, I was a bartender for 8 years, and what am I going to do? Make drinks for people? And even with marketing, it was a little bit like, what am I going to do? Like, show people how to run ads? Sure, but it's not very useful for people who have small businesses here. And now I find myself in the position where every now and then we give just free webinars and seminars to people in the town, just to get them introduced and giving them a window into AI and how useful it can be for them. And that has been so rewarding and so nice, and something that I want to continue, that I'm enjoying so much. Like we've had a couple of times mothers wanting to join, and they, tell me like, look, I didn't finish high school, but I want to use this tool to educate my son. And I was like, oh man, that is so cool. So that's been such a cool part that is new to my life, giving these new tools and being able to give them alternatives that are free and accessible, and somehow being able to give back. And finally I can. That has been one of the most wonderful things about this whole experience in my lifestyle at the moment, for sure.
It's interesting. Those kind of things can never be predicted. It's a bit of like the cow's flywheel idea. You start doing something and then it spins you in one direction. Interesting. It kind of like really resonates with a bit of the way that I like to live life, where you just try things. I ended up in Thailand by pure chance. I was doing SEO, and everybody that I was following said, oh, Chiang Mai this, Chiang Mai that. I was, oh, let's try for a couple of weeks. I've been here 8 years. That was
a
in
lot
2
of
weeks, right? It's because I find like, hell, this place is fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually am truly happy here.
Cool.
And it's funny, I always thought like, if it's not here, it would be Kuala Lumpur. Because I tried it multiple times and I really like it. Every time I been to Kuala Lumpur, I've really enjoyed it. And now I'll be moving to Kuala Lumpur. So,
Oh, wow.
like, okay, wasn't expecting that, right? I always thought like, oh yeah, plan B. And then now it's like, oh yeah, let's move to Kuala Lumpur.
Let's do that.
So, yeah, life definitely takes you in directions that are quite mysterious.
Yeah, if you let it just kind of, if you let it as well, like some people, we just find as well, like hang on to a certain path, like this is what I'm going to follow. And if it doesn't fall that way, then it didn't work out right. But I think if you just kind of see where you end up in a way, it can be really nice as well. Scary as hell sometimes, but nice.
Yeah. Talking about scary, let's go back into SEO and scary and exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So algorithm updates happen all the freaking time.
Yeah.
AI is getting very smart, and so are the AI countermeasures like watermarks. And this March, there was a big update to try to combat AI spam, and then Google has changed the position on AI multiple times. What do you think it's going to happen with SEO as a whole in the upcoming years? What do you think is the direction?
I think for service-based businesses, doing local, it's always important, but doing local SEO is going to be even more important. Getting it that right, like we see that as well, and that can be something that is like your low-hanging fruit. If you're a local business, you have my Google My Business done correctly, and you have your local pages, it is relatively easy to win unless you're in an extremely competitive niche, right? Like, I don't know, restaurants in New York or whatever, then good luck. But I think local SEO is still, the basics will work. And I think with the rest, e-commerce stores or whatever, one thing I'm finding is creating little simple web apps are fantastic. Can be extremely stupid and silly, but the reason why is that, so let's say we've got a couple of people that sell jewelry in our community, and we've made them build a ring size calculator. Like it helps you calculate your ring size. Stupid, easy tool. You can tell ChatGPT to code it, and we tell them, and then we can just embed it. It's just HTML, so you don't need external libraries or whatever. But those things, that tool itself, isn't something that Google or ChatGPT search or Perplexity can give you without, like, as a result. If you search the weather, Google will give it to you right away. If you search, I don't know, I think there was another one I was looking at the other day, but things that it can give you right away in search in the results page, which then you don't need to click through. But these little tools, I'm looking for that. I need to click through the website. So that's one little thing that I think, I don't know how long it's going to last for, but I really like this strategy that's working. And then for a general search, I think I don't know what's going to happen. I think video search is going to be even more important, and we're going to get to less click-through rate, in my opinion, because even I'm searching with my voice more and more and more. I see my dad doing it, which surprises me, but it's just easy. They click a button and they go, hey Google, what's the score or what's whatever, and that search. So I think SEO is changing. It's almost like what music, now Google goes off.
I was listening, brother.
Yeah. What the music industry happened the result of Spotify to music is, I think, what public, like blog writers and stuff like that, are going through in a way with AI, where a lot of the content is just going to be, like you said, like before, and then stolen or just used. And sure, it's going to be referenced, but it's kind of like tough luck, mate. You're going to get a lot less traffic, and you'll be optimizing for AIs, but yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in the traffic. I just know that to survive, you also need to diversify. Like, it's not going to be enough for you to be on Google, like traditional search engine, but you should be on YouTube, you should be on TikTok, and you should be on Instagram. The way that I search and my missus search is completely different. I go to a restaurant, the first thing I look at is the Google My Business reviews. The first thing she looks at is the Instagram account to see how good the dishes look. So I think search is changing within like traditional SEO for sure. It's not evolving. It's not dying like people say. Is SEO dying? Well, then you don't understand what search engine optimization kind of means in that sense. But I think it's what it's going to look like in 5 years. I've got no idea, but I know you need to diversify for sure.
Yeah. One of the, I published it last week, 25 predictions for 2025. And I asked a bunch of people during the conference what the one prediction was for the industry. For as many different answers I got, there were clearly a few different patterns. One was of course, the move from anyone that became good at content and affiliate, which is now dead, but then it's the same skills, then you just move to something like local SEO or e-commerce, you'll do great. So those, I think, will become a bit more competitive because a lot of really good skilled players are going to enter there and do joint ventures. Like I have zero interest on running a store. But if I know a guy that can run stores, I very much know how to rank for anything in e-commerce. So like me, thousands of other guys. With the whole diversification idea, that was the other biggest trend on the prediction that I saw as well with the whole building a brand. I saw LLMs, they will always try to give you something that is a safe response.
Sure.
Right. So if they're gonna pull the data from a source, the more trusted that source, aka that brand is, the more likely that the LLM will choose whatever you have to say as the source for their answer. Because they're only intelligent to the degree of the data set that they have as the food. So is the idea, in a way, in my mind, to really stay relevant in 5 years is make sure that you are top grade food for it. Now, how much of self-feeding loop are we going to get? And are we going to enter into like shit in, shit out realms? Potentially, there'll be some decay.
But there already is, like, the dead internet theory is a thing. I don't know if you're like, people, it's already happening, but we'll find a way to eventually kind of the right direction. There is shit in the internet, but not only because AI sometimes makes shit, but people also sometimes, unfortunately, just write shitty stuff. So
100%. So one thing that I'm very curious that I wanted to ask you is, out of all the automation systems, the cool stuff that you've learned how to do with AI that you teach people in your community, what would be the top 3 that you feel the most?
I think there is probably 3. The first one is we have an automation that allows you to create highly researched, localized pages extremely easy. So let's say you're a real estate agency somewhere in the UAE, right? And you're large, so you've got a bunch of different areas in where you've got products. So you want to have pages, or one strategy is you want to have pages that go like, apartments in let's do Australia because I'm going to butcher some names in the UAE, but I'm a large real estate agency in Melbourne, right? And I've got, all the apartments that I have in Brunswick, I've got a page for that. 2-bedroom apartment in Brunswick, I've got a page with that. What does the market look like? So I need to put a bunch of information on those pages, like why is it a good place to live there? What has been the statistical market of that area in terms of growth over the past 2 years? And a bunch of other things like the cool restaurants around that area. And then, within that, what are the actual products that I've got in there? So doing that takes time, but you can integrate things like Perplexity Search and another one called XAI, which is fantastic. They're AI-powered search engines. And then with a pretty good prompt, you say, this is the beginning of the search, right? Here are all the areas, or you actually have all the areas in a Google Sheet, and it'll do sequentially. But look up the real estate historical information of Brunswick, for example, over the past 10 years. Tell me what are the top restaurants to work there and what are the most common apartment types. And then with that information that is up to date and relevant, you give it to certain GPTs to build this page for you, but you segment the task for the GPT so that the errors are less. So you don't just tell the GPT, with this information, write the whole page. No. Have your structure of the page. Here's the intro section. Here's the financial section. And here's the where it's good to eat section. And each GPT is in charge of one section only, so you minimize the mistakes. And then the page layout is consistent throughout your website. This is something that would take weeks and thousands of dollars, depending on, before how you're going to do it. Now it takes one person that can download the JSON file from us, upload it to Make, connect. Then you need to do a few connections. And then to do, let's say, 300 pages, it takes you $2 and half an hour. I think that is, for me, is one of my, when I did that, I was like, I'm proud of that one. That's pretty good. And then the other one is, the simplest one is just integrating your ChatGPT to Google Sheets with your own script. And because then you can call GPT to, hey, here's all my pages, for example, rewrite the meta description to be 160 characters in length with a good call to action. And once you've got the good prompt, you just click it and drag, and you've got all these cells rewritten automatically. But you can do so much more by just integrating ChatGPT into your Google Sheets. And then the one that I like, that I use personally, that not other people do, is I use Slack with a couple of my teammates. When I come up with my ideas, a lot of the times I'm away from my computer, and I have an automation that I send a voice note to a Slack channel. That voice note gets transcribed. The transcription gets sent to a GPT that formulates it into a high quality search for Perplexity. Perplexity does research in this idea. And then I've got a couple of GPTs that takes my initial idea, the transcript, the research, and then does a blog post for me. Is that blog post ready to be published? No, but it did 95% of the work for me because it understands my tone of voice as well. And all I got to do is just, make sure it's right. I even have Flux connected, the AI image generator there, so that I've got a feature image and I can train that. It's called a Flux LoRa. So it's trained with me and it just puts me in different situations according to what the blog's about. And I think automations like that are actually useful because a lot of the times with big companies, when they need to write content, the subject matter expert needs to be involved in the producing content. But often the issue is that the subject matter expert is the guy with least amount of time. So if he can just send a voice note and then the content is pretty much done, but it's his still original idea, then I think that's a wonderful way to correctly, quote unquote, use AI, because it's just expanding yourself kind of thing. That one I really like, but it's not for everyone as well.
Yeah, that sounds pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. And you can connect it to anywhere. I would just use Slack, but I'm trying to get it to WhatsApp because a lot of people use WhatsApp here, and I think that would be really useful. But Meta's connection are a little bit trickier within Right because there's a little bit more security aspect to it, but whatever.
What you say is a typical way that people are using AI tools that it's either wrong, like you're going to get the wrong outputs, or it's just heavy underutilization of the potential, something that you see often.
Yeah. I think when we say wrong, I just mean they're still fundamentally programs, garbage in, garbage out, right? So wrong in this instance is just regurgitated stuff. We even use things like machined AI to create a lot of content for people, like clusters of content together. You can create 50 blogs at once. For some things, it's okay, but we make people find all the frequently asked questions of your users and answer those questions in a blog. So then at least you've done a little search into answering the user's search intent. AI did 99% of the work for you, but at least you've done the due diligence. It's all right, what's the questions they're asking? Instead of just finding the right keyword, which people overcomplicate it way too much, and they give the keyword alone to the AI that's writing the blog for you, and that causes regurgitated garbage for the most part.
Yeah, I think that's the earliest way that SEOs were like, okay, I can just feed this thing a keyword and it'll give me an article. And then, we've been learning that it needs a bit more, it needs context, it needs some formatting. Okay, have ChatGPT or whatever you're using create an ideal blog structure. You know how it should already look like because you've been giving that to writers anyway. So it says with this structure and this keyword and this other thing and this website as an example, then give me, and you start adding more context. What's right now for straight up content writing out of all the tools out there, your favorite?
I'm still using ChatGPT, but the MacBook version, because I can talk to it and I can transcribe, and I've got a custom GPT with my tone of voice, quote unquote. So I take a screenshot of the questions and I just kind of say, help me answer this question with the following, yada, 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 you should do this and that and that. And it just formats it in a more easier to read format, but with my tone of voice. So still GPT 4.0 is phenomenal. I show people machined AI purely, one, I know the guy who made it and he explained to me how it works. So then I was comfortable sharing that to people because other tools, I don't know how they work. And simplifies the process. Even if you don't want to do keyword research, it'll kind of do it for you. It does research, it understands the user search intent, it'll write for you, and it writes clusters of content together that are interlinked within each other. So from my perspective, it's a good tool because it writes pretty well. You can choose the right tone of voice. It humanizes the content, not pass the AI detectors, but so it reads nicer. It's backlinked to your website and it's backlinking to sources. It's doing a lot of the SEO work for you that you either need a plugin for that's going to cost you a little bit, or it's going to take you more time to do. So machine AI is from that purpose, it's really good. And the language model that writes for me really well, Claude is good, but I don't like the throttling of Claude, the limitation of the messages, which gets really annoying very quickly. That's, yeah. But for like every day, still ChatGPT. I've been trying out Gemini 2, just came out from Google. That thing is blowing my mind. But I think if you don't like how the tool is writing, 99% of the reason is you. Like, you're not giving it the right instructions. Don't say, I don't like the way GPT writes. It's like, it doesn't like how you're giving it its instructions, mate. That's the issue. Yeah.
In terms of giving instructions, have you found maybe like a good rule of thumb of a basic formula on how to really best structure an input so that you get good output?
Yeah. The one that we predominantly teach is really simple, but it's set a persona. So for example, and this does change, make the output more specific, like a expert content copywriter for e-commerce stores. Like, that's the persona. 2 is give some background. You work for an e-commerce store selling shoes, predominantly in the United States. 3, define the output. So I want you to write no longer than 200 words and make sure that you follow this tone of voice. So those 3 things can be just improve your prompts quite a lot. And the other one is asking the AI what's the best way to prompt. If you don't know how to do something, tell it to ask you the questions it needs for you to give it the answers that will provide it with the right information. I don't know how to build this prompt that will allow me to do this. What questions do you need from me, or what answers do you need from me to be able to give you that? And then it'll walk you through it. It's kind of like reverse engineering.
Interesting. But some of the things that I've built for little things that we needed at the agency, right? One of them is a couple of content analyzers, right, for EAT, for helpfulness of content, because we were working on a couple of site recoveries from the HCU, right? And a bit of a wild goose chase, to be honest. Site recoveries from HCU hits, but
yeah, you gotta try.
And for one of them, the very first one that I built, I literally said, "Chat, how do I build a custom GPT?" Right? I said, I know I can Google it, but can it tell me? It says, I'm going to need this, and that. You go here, you go there. Okay. So I kind of like, I had one chat. It was just the chat open, and then the other builder. And it says, I want you to do this in here. What info would you need, and how would you structure it? And it's surprising how much the own maker will tell you this is how you make things with the maker.
Yeah. When like the most interesting one stuff that I've experienced with like AI models and prompting, there's a guy called Stunspot. Sam Stunspot Walker, and he's got this community, and he's a mastermind when it comes to prompting. I don't know if I'm pretty sure he's an actual prompt engineer. Anyway, the prompts that he makes when you read them are gibberish, like NT4 smiley face, and they're massive. And they turn the GPT, they give it a persona, but like a serious persona. You're an SEO expert. There's one called Solon, and it is fascinating because you find yourself. And what you can do is create a couple of these into custom GPTs, and you can call them into the same conversation. So you can have a keyword expert, you can have a overall SEO expert, and you can have an expert on your brand, and you can call them with like the @ function into one conversation. And all of a sudden, yeah, they're experts, quote unquote, right? They're still GPTs, but they filter out the stuff they don't. They only focus on keyword research, for example, and they guide you in the right direction. So it's like having these little mini experts, and you can throw them in the same conversation. And that stuff is really good. Like, the simplest GPTs that I've built for a lot of companies is a simple custom GPT with the company's information, like how much leave they get, when's holidays, and all the policies. So then, and everyone has access to that GPT. So instead of them harassing the HR department for all this information, they just go, before you ask us anything, here's the GPT. Ask it all the questions. If it doesn't know, then ask me. And it just reduces that kind of use for that, you know?
It's like help desk when you're checking with support with your hosting company, but internally.
Yeah, internally. Yeah.
Like I can ping my manager, or I can ask the GPT where all my managers' training and videos are uploaded. maybe I get an answer.
Exactly. Like the passive aggressive thing I used to do when people would ask me questions, because I was all of a sudden like the techie guy. I would send them a link to the Google search question of what they asked me. When it got too much, I was like, mate, just like the questions right there. What are you doing?
There was a website that used to call "Let me Google that for you," right? And then I think you would enter it. and it would make like a whole GIF of like Googling it, and then it gives you the results. Like, let me Google that for you. A bit of old school internet.
Yeah, for sure.
So now for those watching that might be just starting out with SEO, that have been running traditional businesses for a long time, that are kind of seeing the inevitable, like you said, the cat's out of the bag, AI is here. So I think us in SEO, as in the whole industry, live very much at the forefront of utilization of AI. Small scale businesses. I chatted with guys that are in corporations and AI is everywhere and they're all going insane about it. But for the smaller guys, most people are like, that thing, right? Because it's complex. You need to have a proclivity to like these kind of things, which us SEOs do have because we like spreadsheets and we don't like people so much, right? I'm a weird SEO. I'm an actual extrovert, but most SEOs don't. That's why they do SEO, so they don't have to talk with people. And imagine that you run whatever, a upholstery business, because I literally just changed the color of one of my chairs, and then people deliver sofas to you. You change the color, this, that, great, and then you're like, I want to do more advertising, or I want to see if I can comb through these 5 years of books and find out which of my fabrics are the most profitable and stuff. And you have all these massive amounts of physical data that you're making digital. This big transfer of businesses that are going to happen now in the US, right? All the baby boomers are going to be retiring and leaving businesses that a lot of more digitally inclined people are buying. And they might kind of know that they want to move them digitally, but they don't know exactly how or what to do. And if they wanted to get some SEO juice, what exactly should they do? So for these kind of people, right, and want to go aggressive with AI and SEO, what would you advise them as the starting point? How can they get themselves educated in all the background to be able to do it effectively?
I think, one, don't get shiny object syndrome with a new AI tool that comes out. This is a serious thing that happens in AI because I can say every week since the beginning of this year, there's been a new model smarter than the other, and there's this chase thing of like, so one, GPT, whatever you're using, is smart enough for whatever you're trying to do. Trust me, don't just stop it. Like you learn how to use one tool, right? The fundamentals still work of like get someone else to go on the website that doesn't know the business. So we get so many people in the community going like, I want to learn everything about SEO, and we do like website audits, and we get so technical about whether I've chosen the right keyword and stuff like that they forget to look at the website. And like I land on the page and I go like, mate, there's no call to action. Like, where's your number? What am I supposed to be doing here? Like, I think there's this saying like stupidity, never underestimate stupidity in large numbers, particularly in the internet. I mean that with all the love, right? So like, I think first of all, from an outside perspective, look at your website and just see, does it look old? Great. Change it, because that does matter. And then, then you can start by doing the bare basics, because you find that so many people try to sprint before they can just crawl with SEO. Simple things. Is the website quick? No. You should probably try and pay someone to do it. You don't have to know about it, but you need to spot the errors. Learn how to spot the errors. I think for me, when anyone comes in, like a new client or a new member, we audit the website. And the first thing I look at, the design and how quickly it's loading, because those are easy things to attack first. Find someone that you can search, that you can learn from, that suits your style. Like, there's a lot of people that are vastly bigger than I am when it comes to SEO and learning SEO. There's income search streamers, Julian Goldie, and a bunch of other people. But a lot of them are too advanced already. So that's why a lot of people come to us as well. Like, they might be with us for a couple of months, then they'll head over there. Find somebody that you like, because SEO can get really technical, but do the basics, essentially. Don't get shiny object syndrome. And if your website's old, if you think it might be old, it's old. And a redesign will actually change the aspect of it. It's your brand and stuff like that.
That's always been one of my rules of thumb for anything that has to do with websites. I used to do for years forensic SEO auditing. Like, people will come at me, I have a site with 50,000 pages. We used to do 2 million clicks a month. Now I'm like 300,000 and I'm panicking. I've had to fire half of my team. You think this has a turnaround? That's not an easy thing to look into, right? No. It's like 50,000 pages, 12-year-old website built in 3 different platforms. Like, okay, let's look into this, right? And you have to look at everything technically. You look at the content, how the content is structured, organized, right? And really my first question was always like, have you looked at your site like if you wanted to hate it? I look at the site like it's a competitor that you have a thing against.
Yeah.
That says, oh, this is garbage. Like, what is this button doing here? I don't like that color. And a lot of people, like, I found two different camps on this. People that are insanely self-critical and they go crazy rabbit holes of perfectionism that is a bit counterproductive.
Yeah.
And people who think because it's their site, it's fantastic. And people might love it because they love it because they put, effort and pride on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, look at it like it's somebody that you dislike. And would you like this website? What's wrong with it? And they immediately the moment they put those lenses, like, well, I guess there's no button there. I guess that doesn't work. Like, great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that thing where people get too used to browsing their own website and they're like, what do you mean it's difficult to browse? I know the menus right here and this is what I do to get to this section. It's like, yeah, you've been looking at the same website for 5 years. I'd be worried if you weren't comfortable with it, but you need to look at it from the exact perspective that you're at. But I find a lot of people get like, what do you mean? It makes perfect sense to me. It's like, well, yeah, it's like it's your car. Your car feels good when you get in it because you're used to it, right?
Yeah. The what's it called? The broken things become quirks that then like, I like my car. I mean, I have to close the door in this particular way, otherwise it doesn't close. Like the car I used to have, it's still active. I just don't have it anymore. It would be next year 30 years old, right?
Jesus, yeah.
So, no, and like nothing works. It's a Citroen Saxo from the 90s. Like nothing works.
Yeah.
But everything works. Like the car, that's what a car has to do.
Yeah.
And I used to
it works
like,
for you.
I love the car. Like the mind you, I'm a mechanic. That's what I used to do before everything else.
I don't know.
And the steering wheel was off by like a sweet 15 degrees, right? So you have always one hand taller than the other. And for me, it's like, yeah, that's perfect. I like having my left hand taller. I don't care. I know exactly. Like you just don't put the wheel straight. You're gonna be to the left, right?
Yeah.
And then I leave it to my friend, like, why is your steering wheel? What is like? Even the circle was off, right? Because you have to like always do a bit of force. So like, yeah, exactly. Like, why does your steering wheel look so ugly and it's off? Like, it's a thing.
Character.
It's my car. And like, aren't you a mechanic? Like, yeah, I am. Why would I fix it? So is that psychological bias, right? That we put ourselves when we like a thing or we care a thing, like we don't look at its crap for what it is. Like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And when it's your own thing, that's fine. But then when you put it publicly out there for others to consume and use and give you money for whatever services you have, then it's a bit different. To really put yourself in their shoes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Nico, this has been a very fun conversation, and I kind of wish we had another 2 hours because I like to ask you.
Yeah, it has been. Jesus, it's already over, is it?
50...
Man, that was a lot of fun.
It was. The hours always go so fast here.
Yeah.
For those watching, 2 questions. One, for those watching, if they were to get away of watching this hour-long video, what should they walk away and take home?
Play with these new tools until you can try to break them. Play with them. And once you pick one that you think you like, learn how to use it well and learn how to use it within extension. The same way we learned how to all of a sudden use YouTube when it came out and things like that. Learn how to use GPT and don't be afraid of it. Try to break it as much as you can and have fun with it. And then it'll become this incredible tool for you. And also, if you can, a skill that I think will be really useful for the future is whether it's from OpenAI's Playground, whether it's from Claude's, I think theirs is the dashboard. Just learning how to get an API key from these things is going to give you a skill that so many people don't have, is going to make your usage of these tools so much cheaper. And it's going to make you a deadly person at marketing if that's what you do. That skill of like just signing up and getting an API key reduces your cost of using these tools so much. So that's the things that I would like from everyone. Play it until you break it and learn how to use the Playground and Anthropic, whichever one you use.
Love it.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, Nico? Where can they get more of you if this wasn't enough today?
If you're on School, you can search us at AI Ranking. There's a free community and a premium one. Start with the free one, get your toes wet and kind of see if you like what we've got to give. You might not. On YouTube, we're Nico AI Ranking. Same thing on TikTok. TikTok and YouTube is the main ones. We're always just giving out free advice. And that's pretty much it. We're there to teach as much as we can. We give free webinars in the free community as well once a month. We're going to twice a month soon. So there's a lot of places to learn this stuff. You've got no excuse if you want to get into it. And we're happy to have anyone watching here join us. It'd be a pleasure. Yeah. Cool.
Nico, thank you very much indeed. It's been an